Today we are going to discuss about the methods for the determination of order of the reactions. In the previous class, we have known what is the order of reactions and what are the series of reactions. So as we have already discussed, the order is defined by the sum of the power of the concentration versus the rate reactions. To know the order of the reaction is very important so that we can get to know what is the mechanism of the reaction. And this is very helpful for us so that we can play with the reaction as per our need and modify it accordingly. Now, there is a concept of pseudo-order reaction which might be known to many of you. Pseudo-order reaction, the name itself reflects that the order is different what is being observed. It means that if there is a reaction in which one of the reactant which is present in a large excess as compared to the other reactant, then what will happen? The change in concentration of the other reactant it will be high and the relative change in the concentration of the reactant whose concentration is very high will be very less because it is in a very large amount, so there is a very little change in its concentration. So practically you will find that there is no change. So we think that the rate of reaction it depends upon the concentration of the other species only, but this is not the case. It depends upon the concentration of the species other reactant which is in large concentration. So reaction seems to be first order, but it is of a second order. So practically it is appearing to be first order reaction. So for this reason, this is called as a pseudo first order. So the problem is that the reactant whose concentration is very high, change in its amount is very less relatively. So for that we drop it. And the order it is found to be different and it is taken as a benefit. Why? Because by this experimental approach we can remove the variables or reduce the number of variables to determine the rate of reaction. So rate is depending upon two reactants A and B, that is rate is equal to Ka into B, that it will be reduced to Rk by A into A. B is in a very large exercise. We can drop it. We will use this concept in determining the order of rates. A very common example is the hydrolysis of crystal. Here, what is the solvent? Always it is known that solvent it is in a large amount as compared to the solvent. Solvent is the ester and the water is the solvent. When it is hydrolyzed, then we get from ester acid plus chloride. Here, the changing concentration of water is very less as compared to concentration of ester or ethyl acetate in this case. So practically what we find that the rate it is depending upon the concentration of ethyl acetate fluid. So this is an example of pseudo-factor rates. Now, as you have already studied first order reaction and determination of equation for first order reaction or the rate constant, so we will not discuss that. We will directly start from the determination of expression for rate constant for second order. So suppose there is a reaction where 2A gives product, then initial concentration is A, at any time T, the concentration of the reactant is A minus X. Then what will happen? The rate will be given by changing concentration of the reactant or increasing the concentration of the product. either decreasing concentration of reactant or increasing the concentration of product. So X is the product. So what do we find? We will find that dx by dt, that is the rate of the reaction, that is equal to k into a minus x whole square. Why a minus x? Because the concentration of reactant it will be decreased by the amount of product form. So initially its concentration is a. At any time x reactant is converted into product or x is the amount of product form, so the concentration of reactant remaining it will be a minus. So dx by dt it will be depending upon a minus x square into k for the second order reaction. So what we get? We get that dx by a minus x square is equal to kt. We will integrate by taking the terms of x on one side and the terms of y on the other side. So we will get on integration 1 upon a minus x equal to kt plus I, where I is the constant of integration. And by putting x is equal to 0 and t is equal to 0, we get that the constant of integration x value is 1 by a. We put up this value in the previous equation, equation number 3, and we get it as 1 upon a minus x is equal to kt plus 1 upon a, which we can rearrange to get the value of k. So k is expressed as k is equal to 1 by t into x upon a into a minus x. So this is the integrated rate equation for second order reaction. So we can use this rate equations also to determine the rate of reaction. Sorry, to determine the order of reaction. So the first method is based on using integrated rate equations. So we are having different reactions having different orders. So if it is a first order reaction, then the equation will be different. If it is a second order reaction, then the equation for the rate constant it will be different. For the zero order it will be different. So depending upon the nature of plot of a minus x, a, x and t, we can get to know from the equation whether it is a first order, second order, third order. It's very simple because equations are different. So the nature of plot it will be different. For second order reaction we are having this equation. For first order reaction we are having k is equal to 2.303 log a minus x upon. So due to different equations, we are having different dependence and that will be reflected in the graph. So we can get to know how the nature of reactant is varied. So this thing, it can give you the two methods for the determination of order. First, because of the dependence, we can know which equation it is following. So we can use integrated rate equation directly to determine the value of it. If the value of a minus x, a, x and t, it is giving fixed value of k for a particular equation, then it is that particular order. If it is all the values for different values of x and t, we are getting same value from equation for first order, then it is first order. If it is the same value for value of k by using equation for the second order, then it is a second order reaction. So it is hit and travel. Which equation from which equation it gives a constant value of k, it is belonging to that particular order of reaction. And the other part, graphical representation of the dependence, that is used in the second method. For first order reaction, we are having that log a minus x and t there inversely proportional, so it will decrease. Then for second order reaction, we are having that if we take t on the other side, then we will find that t and a minus x 1 upon a minus n where that is equals to it will increase. So depending upon the nature of the different vectors, how they vary with respect to t, we can determine what is the order of x. If it is decreasing, for the representation of log of a minus x with respect to t, then it is first order reaction. It is increasing for the representation of 1 upon a minus x with respect to t, then it is second order reaction. So here also you will get the values and get the particular expressions, express them with respect to other factors, and will try to find how they are varying and the nature of graph with respect to the expressions. It will give the order of things. Then third one is the half-life method. So in general it is found that half-life method it is proportional to 1 upon concentration of the power of the reactant raised to the n minus 1, where n is the order of phase. From the equations also you can see for first order reaction it is 1 upon a to the power. For second order reaction just now we have derived. For second order reaction you can see that the half-life time expression we are not having right now with us. For half-life time, for the first order reaction we know that T have to be equal to 0.69 K upon 0.69 K upon K. So it is not depending on the concentration. K is equal to 0.69 K upon 2 half. For second order reaction we are having a factor of reactant having power 1. For third order reaction we are having a factor, all these are initial factors, factor having the reactant consumption raised to power of 2. So in general we can say that half-life time is proportional to 1 upon a to the power n minus 1, where a is the concentration of reactant and n is the order of reaction. So in general we can say T1 is equal to 1 upon a1 to the power of n minus 1, where 1 represents any reaction 1 for which T half is 2 1. So similarly if we change the initial concentration from a1 to a2, then what will get T half T2 that will be equal to 1 upon a2 to the power n minus 1. So T1 T2 by T1 that will be equal to inversely proportional, so a1 upon a2 to the power n minus 1. If we take log, then we will get here we are having a to the power of x. So if we take the log, then this will be x log a1 upon a2. So we get n minus 1 log a2 by a1. This is equal to log a1 by a2. So for solving n we will get n is equal to 1 plus log a1 by a2 upon log a1 by a2 by a1, where t1 and t2 are half-life time for a reaction with initial concentration a1 and a2 respectively. Then we come to fourth method. In third method what we have to do? We have to determine the half-life time for two reactions. And half of the product is converted to reactant. And we need to use that concentration and we get to know the value of energy. In fourth method, in this method, we use the differential equations, and for that reason it is called as differential method. It was first suggested by Sir Van't-Hoff. So it is also called as the Van't-Hoff differential method. So we know that for any reaction, the rate for nth order, it is given by minus dC by dt is equal to Kc to the power n, where n is the order of reaction and C is the concentration of reactant at any time t. So if we are having two different concentrations, C1 and C2, then we get two equations. Minus dC1 by dt is equal to Kc1 to the power n, and minus dC2 by dt that is equal to Kc2 to the power n. If you take the log on the both sides, then you get two equations from equation 1 and 2, which will be as such. Log minus dc1 by dt is equal to log k plus n log c1. Similarly, log minus dc2 by dt is equal to log k plus n log c2. If we subtract these two, then we can reduce to this one. Because log k is on both sides, so secondly it will be cancelled out. So it will be simplified to n is equal to log minus dc1 by dt minus log minus dc2 by dt upon n is taken out, so we will get log c1 minus 2. So what we have to do? We have to plot concentration and time graph. So along x-axis we are having time, and on y-axis we are having concentration. And the slope of that graph, it will give us the value of minus dc1 by dt and dc1 by dt and dc2 by dt. That we have to put up in this equation. Take the log subtractant, then take the log, and then we have to take the initial concentration of C1 and C2, take the log and differentiate them, and divide those two to get the value of the material. It is the mathematical process which is followed by the performing the experiment. So in all these processes we have to perform the reaction, then we get to know the value of dc by dt or p half. We have to plot the graph between concentration, which will get dc1 by dt and minus dc2 by dt, and those values put up in the equation 5 and we get the value of time. Then the last one is the post-wall isolation. It uses the concept of two-order reaction. This method is employed in determining the order of competitive reaction or complex reactions. Complex reactions are reactions in which the concentration of reactant it depends upon various factors or reactants which collide together in more than one state to give the product. That is, simply we can say if the number of steps in the journey to form reactant to product is more than one, that is a complex reaction. It is having multiple steps. So we will have to go for the slowest step. And since the number of reactants is more, so the number of compared to one variable, now there will be more variables. So this is very complicated because x, y, z is different. So it will not be easy to solve by using a single equation or a couple of equations as we have done earlier. So in this case, we reduce the number of variables by using the pseudo order concept. So here what we will do, suppose we are having three reactants. So two of them I will take in large axis. So the rate will depend upon this one. So if we are having three reactants A, B and C, then what will happen? The rate of reaction will depend upon the concentration in A, B and C. All this, if we are taking B and C very large axis, then it will depend only upon the concentration of A. If we are taking C and A in large axis, then the rate will depend upon the concentration of A and B. So we will get the order of reaction with respect to A, B and C selectively by taking the other two reactants in large axis concentration. Suppose we get order with respect to A, B and C as NA, NB and NC. Then the overall order of reaction it will be given by this one, N is equal to Na plus Nb plus Nc. What we are doing over here? We are collectively finding the order of reaction with respect to one concentration by taking others in large axis. Why large axis? So that change in their concentration relatively does not affect the rate of reaction. So from that, by using the previous methods, what will we get? We will get that rate it will depend upon K into concentration of A raised to the power n. K. So we can get to know Na. Similarly, we will only instead of them to get the overall order of the case. So these are the five methods. That is the integrated equation method, graphical method, half-life period method, differential method, and Ostwald isolation method to determine the order of reaction. So with this, we are stopping here. In the next class, we will proceed further with other topics of the chemical kinetics. Thank you.